Good morning. I'm Reverend Ann Mason, Minister of First Parish in Lexington. Welcome to our Easter service. I am so excited to be in our historic sanctuary, and I so wish that it were not empty on this festive morning. But the first Easter began with emptiness as well, more than 2,000 years ago. And like those women of faith on that first Easter morning, I can feel your presence with me. My friends, the story of Easter encourages us to hope, for we know that one day we will be here together again. And until that day, our community continues in strength, in commitment, and in joy. Let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship as we listen to Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring by Johann Sebastian Bach, arranged by Rip Jackson, who also plays the organ, with Don Clough and Greg Gattel on trumpet and Eric Svensson on French horn. Out of the earth rises light, rises life, rises spring. May we join with the miracle that is springtime and enter into life with lightness and joy. Out of the Spirit rises faith, rises hope, rises love. May we join with the miracle that is Easter time and enter into life with hope and love. Let us resurrect with spring. Let us resurrect with the Spirit and enter into renewed life as we gather into our time of worship together on this Easter morning. Our introit this morning is Rising Green, arranged by Jim Scott, performed by Elizabeth Walsh and Rip Jackson on piano.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, her sap doth run in my veins, boundless my soul like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain, where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end, my sight as deep as the sea, beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity, that of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to meet a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to meet a new day.
The words for our chalice lighting this morning are from E. E. Cummings. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and the blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I, who have died, am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings and of the gay, great, happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing any, lifted from the know of all nothing, human merely being, doubt, unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Our opening hymn this morning is the wonderful Easter hymn, Lo, the Day of Days is Here. Please sing along.
Festival of hope and cheer.
I invite you into a time of prayer or meditation. Take a moment to breathe deeply, to relax your shoulders, to shake off the winter chill. Allow your body to settle in. Turn your thoughts inward. Focus on your breath. Feel that quiver of concern which remains inside you. This is your time to rest, to reflect, to feel, and to connect with all that is holy, all that sustains you, all that you hope for. Eternal Spirit of love and life, we have endured the darkness of this winter. Turn us toward the warmth and greenery of spring. We have endured the fearful times of this challenging year. Give us strength and courage to resist the forces which pull us down into despair. Turn us towards the warmth and brilliance of spring. We have endured the times of intolerance and fear which engender hateful actions between people of different cultures. Give us strength and courage to open our hearts so wide that all will find shelter within our arms. Turn us toward the warmth and love of spring. This morning we dedicate ourselves to act from our love rather than our fear. Let us rejoice that we can be part of this life-giving force for good. And as we celebrate the renewal of life all around us, let us call forth that new life from within each of us. Let us rekindle our faith and renew our hope in the power of love. And now, as we continue in a time of quiet contemplation while Rip plays meditative music, you are invited to share your joys and your sorrows in our chat.
Our reading this morning is from George Herbert. It's entitled Easter. Rise, heart, thy Lord is risen, sing his praise without delays, who takes thee by the hand, that thou likewise with him mayst rise, that as his death calcined thee to dust, his life may make thee gold and much more just. Awake, my lute, and struggle for thy part with all thy art. The cross taught all wood to resound his name who bore the same. His stretched sinews taught all strings what key is best to celebrate this most high day. Consort both heart and lute, and twist a song pleasant and long, or since all music is but 3 parts vied and multiplied, oh, let thy blessed spirit bear a part and make up our defects with his sweet art. I got me flowers to straw thy way. I got me boughs off many a tree, but thou wast up by break of day and brought'st thy sweets along with thee. The sun arising in the east, though he give light and the east perfume, if they should offer to contest with thy arising, they presume. Can there be any day but this? Though many suns to shine endeavor, we count 300, but we miss. There is but one, and that one ever. This is the time when we ask ourselves to support the vitality of the First Parish community. Please give generously. You may donate to First Parish using the information on the screen or in the chat. Our offertory this morning is Nearer My God to Thee by Sarah Flower Adams. It is sung by Rip Jackson, our music director, and his cousin, Kelly Clark.
Nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee, if though it be a cross that raises me, still all my song shall be nearer, my God, to thee, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee. Or if on joyful wing cleaving the sky, sun, moon, and stars forget, upward I fly, still my song shall be nearer, my God, to thee, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee. There let the way appear, steps unto heaven. All that thou sendest me in mercy give. Angels to beckon me, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee.
Thank you so much, Rip and Kelly. You bless us with your music. Thank you. My friends, on this joyous Easter Sunday, in speaking to this Unitarian Universalist congregation, I would guess that for many of you, the details of the Harry Potter story come more readily to mind than the details of the life and death of Jesus of Nazareth. Am I right? There are many ways to explore the depth and meaning of Jesus' life and death, as people of faith have done for over 2,000 years. But I would like to begin by making a more unusual parallel with the story of Albus Dumbledore, one of the more unusual teachers portrayed in fiction. Great stories have influence. Great stories form the way we see the world and the way we see ourselves. The best stories have points of connection for each individual who reads it, We can see ourselves in one of the characters. We can find parallels to the troubles of our own lives. And we can find the hope for our world reflected in the actions of the characters and in their eventual victory. The saga of Harry Potter is one of those great stories, I believe. Albus Dumbledore was a wizard, mysterious and magical figure who discerned the power of good in a world of evil. He knew how to encourage his followers to be their best selves. He was the headmaster at Hogwarts, the school where Harry Potter and his fellow students learned the art of magic. He was the powerful protector of Hogwarts. He defended his people against the evil villain of the story, the one they called the Dark Lord. Everybody looked up to Dumbledore and relied on him to get them out of difficulty, to maintain the equilibrium of life, and to wave his wand at times of greatest tribulation to make all things new again. He seemed invincible. But in book 6 of the story of the Half-Blood Prince, there comes a time when Dumbledore himself was killed. As in the story of Jesus, Dumbledore gave up his life for the greater good. His followers were devastated. And if you've seen the movie, you'll remember the scene where all the students stand near his fallen body and they lift their lighted wands to this dark sky, evoking his presence, looking for strength, unsure of what would happen to them. What did they feel then? Do you remember what they did? These students scattered. And we see endless scenes of characters wandering around with no purpose, conflicted misunderstandings, and a lack of energy. But there comes a time when Harry and his friends reclaim their power. They may have thought that their magic died when their leader died, but no. They found that even in their grief, they still had the magic within them. Even in their darkness, they were able to find the light. And as the story unfolds, their hope begins to rise. Powerful and strong, their hope grows until it is a force to be reckoned with. Their hope begins to rise until they find their way back to the castle. They enter into the final battle with strength and courage and hope and eventual victory. And so it was, I think, with the followers of Jesus of Nazareth. As we read in the earliest accounts, as it's told in the Gospel of Mark, when Jesus was crucified, the women returned to the tomb, and finding it empty, they fled in terror, telling no one what they had seen. They must have felt bereft and alone, scared to venture forth, disillusioned that their great leader had been cut down in the most painful and derogatory of ways. The disciples scattered, alone and afraid, and yet out of this devastation came the beginning of one of the world's great religions. So what happened? What caused this group of followers to come back from exile, to gather together, to begin to believe in themselves and in the teaching that shaped them? What happened to make them go from the intellectual acceptance of Jesus' message of love and generosity to an embodied, powerful, life-altering stance of hospitality and mission? Well, perhaps it was not just the teachings themselves that transformed them. Perhaps it was the lived experience, the knowledge that they were not separate from their teacher, Jesus, but a part of him. And even more than that, they overcame their sense of otherness. Their teacher was not some other type of person, but he was fully human. And so their common humanity meant that they too had the power that he had. They too could love without reservation. They too could break the bonds of hatred in their community. It was more than just his example that empowered them. It was the divine spark in him, which evidenced as his love, which they realized that they could find in themselves. This love was present in their own being and could release their own sense of power and boldness. When the disciples lived with a man who had that divine spark within him, their lives were transformed. They went from being fishermen to being fishers of men. They changed from people that were only concerned with feeding their families to men and women feeding the world. And during their 3 years of following the prophet, the disciples saw how the power of compassion and the connection to the divine that Jesus demonstrated gave him the ability to change the world around him. By caring for people marginalized in society, by breaking bread with tax collectors and prostitutes, upholding the widows, caring for the sick, weeping with those who mourned, Jesus taught by his example that love overcomes fear. He taught that belief in our better selves and connection to our higher power will lift us out of the darkness of life. He showed them that a gentle touch can heal a broken heart. Jesus taught his followers that the powers of greed and might can be overturned by the steadfast love of our companions on the journey. The disciples saw him overturn the tables at the temple, the temples of the money changers who tried to place their love of money over and above the power of faith, the tables that represent the corruption of organized religion when it tries to ensure the power of its leaders by exploiting the innocent faithful. My friends, Jesus was a revolutionary. It is revolutionary to believe that love is more powerful than weaponry. It is revolutionary to think that we should be sharing the wealth and the resources that we've been blessed with, that all people have a right to a lifestyle that respects their inherent dignity and worth, that trans kids should receive the medical care they need in every state of our country. This is still revolutionary. In this world of upside-down priorities, the power of love is the only thing that will bring us all to our senses. It is the only thing that will show us how to change the world around us. It is the only thing that will change us. Love is the thing that Jesus showed his disciples, and the thing they thought that they had lost when he was killed. No wonder they were shocked into silence for 3 days. No wonder they wept and went their own way in silence when he died. But 3 days later, the women went to the tomb. Martha and Mary and the other women gathered, and they went to the tomb expecting to find the body of the man that they had so revered, so that they could tend to it as was the custom of the time. But when they got there, the stone covering the tomb was rolled away and the tomb was empty. They did not find the body of their leader. Now, we will never know the truth of this story, and for us, it really doesn't matter. For Christians, the belief in a resurrection of the body of Jesus is the cornerstone of their faith, and they have to allow themselves to believe in this miracle in order to believe anything at all. For Unitarian Universalists, the story is just that, a powerful story which reveals a truth beyond the physical impossibility of a body rising from the dead. So what is the power in the story of the empty tomb? Why do we, as Unitarian Universalists, celebrate Easter along with countless Christians this morning? I believe it is the emptiness of the tomb itself that is important. When the stone was rolled away and the empty tomb was revealed, what did they find? They found nothing and everything. And in nothing is everything. In the emptiness of the tomb, they found empty space within themselves. They experienced death and loss and grief. They expected decay and the evidence of mortality, but instead, the physical remains of the teacher they loved, they were faced with emptiness. And within that emptiness was the space to reassess their situation, the shift from what was expected, the battered body of their beloved teacher, to what they found, an empty tomb, allowed them to pay attention to the unexpected. What they found was emptiness. What they found was stillness. What they found was clarity. Now, 400 years before Jesus was born, the Buddha taught in the Dhammapada, seeking within you, you will find stillness. Here there is no more fear or attachment, only joy. When our minds become stilled and we can calm the agitation of life, when our breath becomes stilled and we can calm the emotional roller coaster of life, when our bodies are stilled and we can face the depth of our own being, then we too can come alive again. It is impossible to see the empty space within ourselves when we're covered with a heavy stone. It may take a miracle for us to roll that stone away. but we should not be afraid of the emptiness within. The Easter message is that the disciples finally stopped looking outward to somebody else to save them. In the silence and emptiness of the tomb, they were forced to look inward to their own source of love and power. They looked within and saw that they too had the divine spark. They too had love and compassion and a sense of justice, like the students of Hogwarts who found that they had the magic within them. The disciples found what they were looking for when they looked deep within the silence and they found their strength. We each must look within ourselves and connect to that divine spark to find the power that lies within. Even if it's buried under the snows of winter or the snows of self-doubt, even the weight of self-hatred, we have what we need deep within us. But sometimes there's a heavy stone that lays over us, a stone that prevents us from being able to see. So my friends, what is the stone that lies with heavy weight upon you? What prevents you from looking deep within yourself in peace and in safety? What heaviness prevents you from living your life with hope? Is it grief or anxiety, hatred, fear? Is it the loss of your job or your marriage? Is it frustration at politicians? Is it fear of climate change? Or is it just exhaustion with living with pandemic? What stone is it that prevents you from being who you want to be? Take a chance. Roll that stone away. And don't be afraid to look deeply within the well of your own soul. You will find something amazing inside. You may find emptiness, but within that, you will find your true, beautiful, lonely, but powerful self. You have all of what you need already within you. We all do. If we can roll away that stone that's keeping us from seeing clearly. I'd like to share with you a poem of a woman who shows us her courage and the truth of resurrection. Her spirit, despite years of prejudice and hatred, will rise. Her courage, despite mockery and hatred, will rise. Listen to the beginning of the poem, Still I Rise, by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. My friends, life hopes springing high, we can rise. If we believe in our own strength, in our own connection to the power of love, in our own future, we can rise. And this is resurrection. This is love reborn. This is new life pushing through the snows of winter to bloom fresh and beautiful on this earth. Maya Angelou's poem ends with these stirring words. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. My friends, look within. Find the hope that is rising in you. This is our resurrection. Happy Easter and blessed be. Our anthem this morning is Hymn of Resurrection by Gwyneth Walker, performed by our Sanctuary Choir and the brass trio under the direction of our music director, Rip Jackson.
Wonderful. Let us now speak together the words of our affirmation of faith, that we may be reminded of how we will move through this world together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Our closing hymn this morning is O Day of Light and Gladness. Please sing along.
My friends, we have within us a place which is joy beyond all grief. Rest in this place today and tomorrow and in the days to come. Sing with joy and gratitude for the gift of life, and lift up your hearts for the gift of life, to the new life that is awakening in the beauty of spring. May you find the way to break open to the place inside which is unbreakable and whole. And may you live fully in the sacredness of this moment. Amen, and blessed be. Our postlude this morning is the Easter sequence, performed by Rip Jackson on organ and our brass trio.
Thank you for being with us for this morning's Easter worship. It was wonderful to have you. First Parish in Lexington is offering a number of programs during this upcoming week, and after that, you will see slides following this, which will talk about some of those programs. I'd like to highlight one of those in particular. There are 4 talks by David Rose coming up on Tuesday evening, starting this Tuesday afternoon, this Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The series is called The Artful Brain. Very interesting. It is about how our brains convert sensory input into beauty. What a concept. So look for the link in our weekly updates. It'll be there. You'll need to register in advance, but it sounds exciting. So look for that and tune in on next Tuesday afternoon. And now we'll be breaking into chat rooms. If you want to stay on, please stay on, join the chat room and make a friend.